Reddit stories. My wife abandoned me 2 months ago to find herself. Okay, so here's the deal. My wife Mary's family has this thing where they start forgetting stuff when they're in their 50s. Her mom, grandma, and some other relatives on her mom's side had this memory problem. For the last 4 years, Mary's mom lived with us. It was pretty tough for all of us, me, Mary, and our grown-up kids. Our kids are off doing their own things now, one in college and the other in the military. Living with someone who has memory issues is really, really hard. We talked a bunch about using the money we saved up, selling our house, quitting our jobs, and going on a big trip for a year. We just had to wait until Mary's mom could move to a care place. Finally, that happened, and I thought things would get better, but then, something not so fun happened. When we moved Mary's mom out, Mary got super sad. She felt bad about putting her mom in a home and started worrying about getting memory problems herself. Our plan was to start our big trip in the summer of 2024. 2 months ago, I come home, and there's this note from Mary. She's going on our trip without me. She quit her job, took all our savings, and just left. No clue when she's coming back. She thought I'd understand, but I didn't. I waited a whole month, hoping she'd come back, but nothing. So, I went to talk to a lawyer. She said there wasn't much to do right now. I changed who gets my money if something happens to me. I have to keep paying for the house and cars, even though I can't sell them. It's pretty tough. Mary posts pictures on Instagram from Hawaii, saying I'm a great husband for letting her take this trip. Meanwhile, I'm trying my best to pay the bills, and she's having fun. It makes me really mad. I helped take care of her mom and she just up and left. I think she's with other guys. I asked her, and she said no, but who knows? So here I am, sitting alone on a Friday night, and she's out there, probably on a beach. It's just not fair. Triple F her. Edit, my lawyer told me a lot of things, like a bunch of advice and options. There's so much info that I can't put it all here. I could try harder to make things happen, but it costs a ton of money. Finding her, giving her papers, and getting a judge to say it's okay, it's all really expensive. I'll check in with my lawyer soon, and we'll talk about my savings and money. It didn't really hit me until I paid all the bills and saw how little was left that I have to be super careful with money now. Update 1, 2 weeks later. Subscribe for more Reddit stories. Here's the latest on what's happening. Things are looking a bit better now that I've figured out the money stuff, even though I'm kinda running up debt that I'll pay off when I sell the house. I've got about 6 to 8 more months before I really have to worry about money, as long as nothing unexpected comes up. My friend's wife gave me some good advice. She said I shouldn't turn into a bad guy in my kids' eyes. The way I talk about and treat my wife will affect how my relationship with my kids turns out. I might not care much about my wife, but I don't want to make her look like the good one and push my kids away from both of us. I checked in with the lawyer again, and she said we're gonna make my wife pay back the money she took from our savings. That means she'll get less of our stuff when we split things up. She'll also have to give back the money I spent taking care of the house while she was gone. The lawyer thinks there's enough money in her part of the house and her retirement plans to cover all that. After being married for almost 25 years, our finances are all tangled up, and the lawyer says my wife will get some share of our stuff. The best scenario is she agrees to the divorce terms, and it's not too expensive and happens quickly. If not, things get complicated and costly. The lawyer gave me a bunch of options and estimates of what it might cost, so I'm kinda just waiting for now. I got a couple of credit cards with special rates for buying stuff and transferring money. That gives me some breathing space, and I can save my cash. I'll pay off the credit cards when I sell the house. Now that money is less of a worry, I'm actually enjoying my wife being gone. I'm free to do whatever I want, whenever. No cooking, no cleaning, no taking care of anyone. The house is super quiet, which is a big change. I loved my wife, but her mental health made our marriage hard. It was worth it until now. At first, I kept expecting her to be there when I got home. If someone was at the door, or if I heard noises, I'd think it was her. I even checked the doorbell camera all the time. I'm not really looking forward to her coming back. It has to happen, but when she returns, I'll have to deal with her, the divorce, getting the house ready to sell, splitting our stuff, and finding a new place to live. I'm hoping she stays away until after New Year's, but my daughter thinks she might be back for Christmas, either to stay or just visit. My lawyer will have papers ready to give her. Hopefully, she'll just agree to the terms and keep traveling. People gave me some great advice. Renting or selling the house, it's not easy right now, and I'd have to fix some things before selling or renting. Since I need a place to live, the money I'd make each month, rent, mortgage, rent for a new place, storage unit, doesn't really add up. Also, my kids' rooms are still full of their stuff, and I don't want to put it all in storage. Getting a Helic, this was a good idea, but for now, the special rates on the credit cards are cheaper and easier than getting a Helic. Serving divorce papers or getting a divorce without her. This might be something I have to do later, but the cost of lawyer fees goes way up for cases like this. I'm okay with waiting for now. Checking her phone bill to see where she's at. I did check, and I noticed she doesn't post on social media until after she leaves a place. Like when she posted about Hawaii, she made a call that day from Los Angeles. She also posted about a cruise, and I figured out the dates, trying to serve her at the port possibly, but it ended a few days before she posted. She tried adding international calling to her line, but I blocked it, so she removed her phone from our account. Update 2, 1 month later. Not much has really changed. I went to my in-laws' house with my daughter for Thanksgiving. It was okay, everyone was friendly, and tried to say sorry for their daughter/sister/cousin/niece. I told them it's not their job to apologize, but I was grateful that they let us stay. It meant a lot to my daughter to be there. I got a message from my wife saying she'll be in town for Christmas. My lawyer said the papers are all ready, so she can be served. It's kind of like an early Christmas present. Reddit stories. My mother-in-law is racist with me and put my husband against me. I'm Filipino, and my husband is Chinese. His mom didn't like me from the start and even said Filipinos are only maids. At first, my husband stood up for me and said he'd cut ties with her if she tried anything. So, she stopped, he proposed, and that's when problems started again. She wasn't happy. My sister-in-law told me that my mother-in-law didn't expect us to last too long because she thought my husband would come to his senses. She tried to mess up our wedding, threatened not to come, and even told our guests the wrong date. Luckily, they checked with us. My husband just said his mom is scared for him and that I should understand because she grew up in a traditional home. That should have been a red flag, but I was too in love to see it. I was 8 months pregnant a month ago, and my husband insisted on going to his mom's house for a family reunion. I didn't want to because I was tired from working and pregnant. He said we had to go because his mom won't take no for an answer. At the dinner, I started feeling weird and lightheaded. I told my husband, but he ignored me, told me to go upstairs, and his mom said not to ruin their dinner. I felt something was really wrong, and I told my husband we should go to the hospital. His mom said to shut up and go upstairs. I asked my husband if he would let her talk to me like that, but he just shrugged and told me to calm down. I didn't go upstairs. I called my dad to take me to the hospital. My baby's heartbeat had stopped, and I felt like I was floating. I found out later that I was drugged and had alcohol in my system, even though I didn't drink or do drugs during my pregnancy. My sister-in-law admitted she saw my mother-in-law adding stuff to my food and drinks. I reported it to the police and pressed charges. I won't stop until she's behind bars. I told my friends about it, and some say I'm wrong for divorcing him. But how can I stay with someone who doesn't believe me and takes his mom's side? He hasn't even acknowledged our baby is gone. All he cares about is clearing his mom's name. I'm heartbroken. Am I the one in the wrong? Why do some people say I am? Update 1, next day. Subscribe for more Reddit stories. I'm feeling really grateful for all the support I've been getting. Thank you, everyone. I'll be honest, the reason I shared my story was because I needed people to hear me and understand what happened. I wanted to have some control over something, even if it's just sharing my experience. What happened to me was really scary, and I still can't believe it. Some people are saying I don't sound emotional enough, and that the title I used makes them think it's fake. I don't get why I should make things sound worse just for people to believe me. When I tried something like that in another group, my post got banned for violence, which doesn't surprise me because what happened to me was really violent. How am I supposed to sound? Some emotions are just too strong and deep to put into words alone. I might not be yelling and crying in my post, but I've been feeling that way since that night. I lost a child. How could someone make that up? Do people not understand that bad things happen to others? For those who say I should have died too for it to be believable, I almost did. I won't give all the details just to prove it to you. Isn't it enough that my child died? And then you call me the sick one? As for those who think my husband is part of it, I can't say. I don't know yet. I don't want to think he could do something like this. I loved him, and that thought hurts too much. Some ask why I didn't taste the alcohol. I didn't know. If I did, I would have stopped drinking. When I felt something was off, I mentioned it. I was pregnant, and some food tasted different. I didn't think much of it then. I never thought my life would be in danger. I knew my mother-in-law didn't like me, but I didn't think she would do something like this. And for my friends who called me AH, they're close to my husband. They still believe he didn't do anything wrong and that he's innocent, caught in his mother's lies, and grieving for our lost child. I don't know how to deal with this, so I've decided to cut ties with them. But I do have other friends who've been really supportive and helpful. I won't talk about my sister-in-law as she's a minor, and my father-in-law isn't in the picture. I'll try to update you all once this is over. I'm sorry if my post offended anyone. Update 2 days later. This is going to be my last post. Thank you all for being so supportive. It really means a lot to me. I finally have some time to myself and thought I should give you this final update. These past few weeks have been the worst and most painful of my life, but it's finally almost over. My ex-mother-in-law couldn't get away thanks to my sister-in-law, and they found evidence in her house. She finally admitted to everything after a month. This morning, she got the death sentence because what she did is not taken lightly in our country. Her son, my ex-husband, is saying he had nothing to do with it and won't get any punishment since there's no proof. I honestly don't know if he was involved or not, but I can't be around him ever again. I haven't talked to him privately since that night, and now I only talk to him through lawyers. My sister-in-law is staying with a close relative. She's safe, and I know some of you are worried about her. I'm living with my parents again. I couldn't have gone through this without them. They are truly my rock. We're finalizing our divorce this week. My family has advised me to sue him for everything he and his family put me through. This was a hate crime. I don't understand how a grandmother could do this just because my baby was a girl and not pure Chinese. I've heard stuff like this happens in China, but we're not living there. Why bring your close-minded ideas and traditions here? Why did my baby have to pay the price for this? I don't know how people continue life after losing a child. Her funeral is next week. I named her Marie Elizabeth. Rest in peace, my love. Mama loves you, and I'll see you soon. Reddit stories. I got tested to donate a kidney to my wife and found out that we might be related. I decided to get tested to see if I could give my kidney to my wife. We've been married for 6 years, and we have 2 kids, a 4-year-old girl and a 2-year-old boy. My wife got sick after our son was born, and now she needs a kidney transplant. We checked with her relatives, but none were a match. Last week, I got tested, thinking it might be a long shot. To my surprise, the doctor called me the other day and said I was a match. However, he mentioned something about wanting to do additional testing due to information from the HLA tissue test results. I agreed, not thinking much of it. When the results came in, I was shocked. The doctor explained that, because of how DNA is passed down through generations, a parent and a child could have at least a 50% match, while siblings could have anywhere from 0% to 100%. It was rare to have a high match as husband and wife. That's when he dropped the bomb. My wife and I have an abnormally high match percentage. Turns out, we're related. No joke. I was put up for adoption before I was born and placed into a family that moved across the country. I knew I was adopted, but we didn't have any information about my biological family due to it being a closed adoption. I met my wife by chance 8 years ago while on a work trip. We worked together for a week, exchanged numbers, and kept in touch. I was later transferred to the same city for a new position, and we got closer over time. I don't know what to do moving forward, but I know it might be wrong. She's my wife and the mother of our kids. This post is probably going to get removed, but it's all true. Edit, my wife needs a kidney, and I got tested. We found out we have an abnormally high match percentage because, turns out, we're related. I was adopted and met my wife by chance 8 years ago. Update, 2 weeks later. Subscribe for more Reddit stories. This is an update. The original was posted about 2 weeks ago. Yes, I know I misspelled across. Yes, I do have bad grammar and spelling. Yes, I am stressed and freaking out. Yes, I can play the banjo. No, there was no genetic test when we got married. Our state stopped that in the 1990s. No, my wife has never been stuck in the dryer, but she once got stuck under the bed. Joke. The reason I did not go in too much detail is to try to not be so specific that I or my wife might be recognized. Well, the front page of Reddit didn't help with that. Thank you all for your comments and feedback. I didn't respond to them, but I did read all of them. The reason her family couldn't donate was that close relatives had some medical issues that prevent them from donating. Examples: high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, heavy drinkers, and more. The further out we tested, the less percent of a match. I wanted to be tested because we needed to find someone. The doctor said it would be unlikely, but wouldn't hurt to try. I was freaking out after I got the news and had to get outside advice. When the doc said that the percentage was abnormally high and that we might be related, I kind of zoned out and started to piece things together in my mind. My parents live 1,000 miles away. They met my in-laws a few times. Once at my wedding and when both my children were born. My children are fine. My daughter is incredibly smart for her age. My son is a handful and healthy. The way my adoption worked was when my bio mom gave birth to me, I was checked out and put in a different room. I was there, but don't know how it officially worked. From what my parents explained, they were in that room waiting. They never met my bio mom in person. My bio mom only had a profile and picked them out of many candidates. I called my parents and told them that I needed to know everything they knew about my bio mom. They told me that they had limited knowledge. They said she was a single mom that was 16 years old. The father was not in the picture. Also, I was born in a hospital 1 hour from where my wife was born. Like I said, limited knowledge. Growing up, I didn't want to find out about my bio parents. To me, my parents were always my parents. I knew I was adopted and that it was a closed adoption. I figure it wouldn't matter long term. I'm not going to do an additional at-home DNA test through any of the traditional testing sites like 23 or Ancestry due to personal reasons. Like the possibility of the family finding out. The doc said all of this to only me, not with my wife present. Some of the additional tests were done through the doctor, which was the CM test. I'm not an expert on DNA testing. They said it was like a 1900 plus CM match. This basically confirms one of my bio parents is one of hers. It can also mean first cousins or aunt/uncle, I'm guessing her dad. When my kids were born, my parents brought photos of me as a baby and commented that I and my son looked a lot like my wife's dad. My son was easily explainable. But all three of us are a different story. I'm not going to bring this up ever. I might look at my FIL differently, but nothing will hopefully change. I hope none of the family goes on Reddit and connects the dots. I am donating my kidney to my wife. We have started the full process. That takes time and a lot of preparation. I plan on talking to my wife after the surgery and after recovery. We will decide what to do with our kids. If we are going to get them tested or ever tell them. I will not be leaving my wife. I love and will always be there for her. I made vows and I will keep them. I love her more than I would a half-sister. Edit, I'm donating my kidney to my wife, who is most possibly my paternal half-sister. ETA, I do plan on telling her after the surgery. She is not doing well, and I think this will be even harder on her. I would rather her know that I love her as a husband rather than flip her world upside down right before life-changing and dangerous surgery. If something were to happen, telling our kids is not a decision I'm going to make on my own, it will be a joint thing after my wife knows.